serious danger. This is something that we need to be really afraid of. And, like, can I even trust her? Is she too crazy at this point? And Arya's feeling the same way about Sansa. And so...
Yeah, I was just going to say, is it possible that we're seeing people who have grown up with really ridiculous circumstances start to become the people that have to question everything that's going on? Because we see Sansa grow into a lord of Winterfell and actually question all the lords around her and constantly be worried that they're going to flip on a switch. And she even relates the other lords in the north to, I think she calls them wind vanes at some point, and says that there's no way that I can keep hold of all this because they all trust Jon. And then Arya, in the same way, I think, is playing the game of faces with Sansa to just make sure that she's still the same woman she grew up with that wouldn't betray her family, even if she loves riches and those things. And she's using those as a push to get her to say something that she really feels.
So I completely agree. And I think that's, so from a theory
really
standpoint, and where I think this could go and where I would love to see it go is that I agree. Arya has been turned into an amazing weapon. But her mind and her strategy brain piece doesn't seem to be functioning. Sansa seems to have that part down, but her moral compass maybe, or a girl at work that I've been talking to, shout out to Katie, has a very strong feeling that Arya's got that sense of family and revenge and sense of loyalty down pat. So I feel like stronger together, right? That's the whole motto of the Starks, right? Other than winter is coming, which is here. So moving on to the next one.
Amen, yeah.
So I would love to see Littlefinger, who almost to a point, because he's so in the background and yet so powerful from his scheming. I would love to see that Arya and Sansa together, when they can throw off all of this shade, right? That together they can overplot and overthrow Littlefinger. That is where I see this developing. And from the way Game of Thrones has set up, I feel like very powerful women, I really think it could happen. And I feel like Sansa, even in that scene where Littlefinger is encouraging Sansa to seek out Brienne for counsel with Arya, and then she's agreeing with him, and you almost think like, wow, she's really trusting Littlefinger with his advice. And then she sends Brienne away, and I feel like in this episode, you realize, oh shit, that was the wrong choice. She should have listened to Littlefinger in that she should not have sent Brienne away at all. And so Littlefinger's games here are getting all over the board, and I want to see Sansa and Arya just rule at his own game.
See, I kind of took that scene in like a different way. So I was thinking that Littlefinger was starting to get into Sansa's head, and he was trying to see if Sansa could use Brienne to get in between, like, her and Arya. Like, Arya's going to cause a problem for you, like, and he knows it 'cause he's the one setting her up, right? And then Sansa was like, you know what? I'm not going to let Littlefinger win. Like, he thinks that he's manipulating me, and he's not. So I'm just going to send Brienne away so that we don't have to have this awkward situation. We don't have to make Brienne choose between the two of us. Like, that's how I took the scene.
I feel like now, if I'm Littlefinger, Brienne is protecting both girls, and he wants them to fight, right? And Brienne is protecting Sansa and has no trust for Littlefinger. If he can get Brienne out of the picture, Littlefinger now has essentially full control, and there's no one really protecting either girl, specifically Sansa. And I feel like in that reverse psychology way, Sansa just walked right into his plan. He knows Sansa's starting to distrust him, and so he played that surprisingly perfectly.
So here's a good little,
is my opinion.
mini game, if you will.
It's completely opposite.
So I think that there are 3 candidates, maybe 4 candidates to kill Littlefinger, and I want to get your guys' opinion on who you think it is. So I think there's 4 candidates. I think obviously Arya, Sansa are 2 great candidates, but I think Brienne is on that list because she has to protect the 2 Stark girls, and I think maybe Bran, but maybe I don't know.
It's going to be
just like
Podrick.
Oh, shit! Wow.
It's the only reason he's in the
horse.
show ever, for any reason.
Oh, I think that is actually a really good call. I like that a lot.
She says in the episode maybe Podrick could be essentially your Kingsguard because he's becoming a really
Do
good
you
swordsman.
think she left Podrick behind?
Yeah.
I think that's a great theory.
I think, because Brienne leaves her on her own. I guess maybe she takes Podrick.
You don't
She's
see
kind of
Podrick
forced out. Sansa's kind of like, you're going.
Well, right,
you're
but like,
getting out.
it feels like she's going by herself. The only other thing that I take away from the whole Brienne thing is that Brienne might be the only person that Sansa trusts enough to send to King's Landing that can take care of herself too. So that's a third option. But yeah, what do you guys think about the whole killing Littlefinger?
I think Brienne. I think there's a really good chance that Brienne does it because we haven't seen her leave yet, right? But at the same time, I think we know that she is leaving, or we did see
That
her
way she can
leave.
hook up a Tormund.
Yeah, she's getting to King's Landing
She's
because
got some
Tormund's going to
baby-making
King's
plans.
Landing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. She's got some baby making plans.
He's got some baby.
He's got some baby making plans.
What do you guys think?
I mean, I guess so. It's funny. So I'm listening to all of these takes, and I'm kind of theorizing as we go. So, in essence, we're saying that Littlefinger is going to make this play against Sansa to kind of get in her head, remove her from her sisterly kind of relationship with Arya and whatnot. So I'm going to go with this theory. I think Littlefinger is going to try to kill Sansa. Taking part of your theory, Brogan, that Littlefinger is going to kill Sansa. I think while he attempts to do it, Arya's going to notice, pick up Cat's Paw, and kill him.
because
And then
sorry, go ahead.
he can take her. He can take, or she can take his face and play a little Littlefinger game as him, and that tricks because Littlefinger, if you don't remember, is in Cersei's camp, which you can tell from the opening scene where he's behind her and he's trying to convince her, like, hey, let her write this, blah blah blah. He's in her camp, so that gets them into the kind of like behind the scenes of Cersei's entourage.
He's got feet in both pools. But yeah.
All pools.
He'll be on the, in his mind, he's going to be on the side of the winner.
I think he wanes.
Right.
I still think he wanes more. I think he's the guy who, yes, wants to play at both sides, but I think he puts more weight on one than he does the other because it's as he sees fit.
I still think he might end up winning.
Agreed.
He could.
So dead.
The last thing I was going to say is I don't think Littlefinger kills anybody. I think he's way too
Agreed.
smart to let anybody else, to let himself kill anybody to be seen as a killer,
fair.
and he's always behind the person doing the action.
Do you think he makes it out of the season finale? Let's do a vote real quick. I don't think he
Yes.
makes it out of the. I'm
Yes.
saying no.
Yes.
Now I do, yeah.
We've been leading to the death of Littlefinger with our Winterfell storyline, and I think
No.
that culminates in the
I
season finale.
don't. We've been leading to something with Littlefinger. I don't think it's the death.
It could be him killing Sansa.
I will say
I don't think killing
Or him
Sansa, marrying Sansa. Yes.
I have a different theory for who dies in the finale, but we'll get to that.
That's
Yeah.
actually, him marrying Sansa
Makes so
actually
much more
becomes
sense.
a huge potential considering what she's worried about in her conversation with Arya and the constant worry that, like,
Soldiers
they
will
won't.
leave.
Yeah, that she has to trust Littlefinger with Knights of the Vale, but if they're married, then she literally is the Lord and has power over everybody, and in her mind would probably be the correct stance because she's always wanted to be a lady of Winterfell. So yeah, I don't know. For me, Littlefinger still seems to be the biggest wild card because now we at least know that he is all Dany first and foremost, or at least it feels that way. They haven't given us any additional pieces to say otherwise, and Littlefinger still just seems to be this like squirmy guy who keeps playing different angles.
Varys feels like someone who's played the game to stay alive. Littlefinger seems like someone who's been playing the game to win it. And I feel like Varys has gotten to a place where he's found someone that he respects and feels loyalty to and wants to see bring the world to a better place, right? And Littlefinger is out for his own good. So I feel like that's what separates the two of them, although they operate very similarly. And I think I've even bonded over that. But I feel like Littlefinger, they've sprinkled him in just enough to feel like his storyline hasn't played through, and to just off him, it wouldn't feel complete unless some big reveal happened, and then right. And I just feel like I could see, I don't know about marrying, I could see that the most, and I could feel like his long game with Sansa and what he's doing, it would make more sense that he's trying to groom her, win into her favor, play into that, and he's got Brienne gone, and now he can play in, like, it's open season for Littlefinger games now in Winterfell.
I want to say that as another little side prediction, little side action, I am going to bet that we don't see Littlefinger get killed on screen.
I'm not allowed to bet anymore.
Oh.
I don't think we're going to see him killed on screen, and I think we're going to see
Arya pull a face.
Oh,
Yeah.
of Littlefinger.
Oh,
I agree. I'd love to.
it's a very Walder Frey-esque.
Yeah,
I like
actually,
that.
yeah.
I think a really interesting wild card would be Robin Arryn because he kills Lysa Aaron. So somehow, I don't think Robin would do it, but maybe the Knights of the Vale and Jon Royce do it.
What a nice way to bookend this season when it opened with Arya as Walder Frey, and then it ends with her taking off the mask as Littlefinger or something like that too.
I do have a question. So in rewatching this, towards the end when Sansa finds the bag of faces and they go through the game of questions, if you will, and they kind of turn it back and forth, why does Arya hand Cat's Paw over to Sansa?
Because at the end of the day, they're still sisters. Like
I don't think that's it.
Yes, that's fine.
I think
Well, defend your answer.
I think at the end of the day, they're still both Ned Stark's children, and I think that I forget who was saying it last night, but she plays the game of truth and lies, and she's trained in how to spot the truth from lies, and I don't think Sansa has revealed to her clearly that she is really the merciless, strategic Cersei impersonator that Arya is trying to make her out to be. So I don't think she has the definitive feeling that she can really, and she needs that. I feel like she's proven she needs that to really kill somebody.
I think that's a great point, Beth. Like, I think that came at the end of the game that she was playing, where she said, like, let's play a game of truth or lies, and I'll know if you're lying, I'll know if you're telling the truth. And then at the end, she gives the dagger over, almost to say, like, you've won the game and you pass. Yeah. Like, I really like that. I didn't consider that at all.
And I take it the same way and a little bit differently, but, like, she's pushing up on her to say, if I find anything wrong, I'm not just going to sit back and do nothing about it. This is my home. You supported the death of potentially our father, and I'm going to find out if you did. So watch yourself. And then she throws the cat's paw back to say, yeah, you checked out this time, but I might be back tomorrow with similar questions.
I think that's a way more fair answer after putting some weight behind it. I think the
inconclusive results.
The biggest reason I ask is because I don't think that handover happens during the game of questions. She's like, because she goes off on a tangent. She's like, I wonder what it be like to be in your position, to take your face, to be the queen, to sit in your role, because we've never done that before. So I didn't know how to take it, so I was just curious.
Yeah, I think that was a scare tactic at the end. So I think we got through everything here specifically. The one thing that we did briefly touch on is now Bran is leaving to go to King's Landing. And that's interesting because at the end of the episode, we see a lot of other people come back to King's Landing. But the next place we want to go is Dragonstone. And the very first thing we see is Dany and Tyrion talking a lot about, even into what the future might hold specifically for after Dany becomes queen. And I think Tyrion is trying to put her in check after the conversation that Varys and Tyrion had over some wine in the previous episode to say, like, we really need to figure out what is behind this curtain that she kind of has up or what she's really feeling. And as that conversation progressed, she consistently got a little bit more defensive and then gets angry enough to say, like, we're done with this conversation at this point. But a lot comes out here. Specifically, we see Tyrion talk about, like, the eyes that she's been giving Jon the entire time, which I thought was hilarious, and he's trying to lighten the mood. And he also says, but we need to go to King's Landing and meet with Cersei, and we're not going to do it stupidly. We're going to take 2 armies, we're going to take our dragons, we're going to make sure that we're prepared for any booby traps that she might lay. And I thought that was interesting because I think he's pushing back to say, like, I'm a Lannister, but I need to prove to you that I'm in your camp.
All right, so
somebody go.
So the piece that I found so interesting in this scene is that she questions, and I don't think, and again, we've touched on this before, like, does she truly trust Tyrion? And I think as this conversation progresses, you can see that she's super hesitant towards him, and he kind of defends himself, and I wrote this down because I really liked this, and it's weird because this kind of follows Littlefinger's quote to Sansa. He goes, you need to take your enemy's side if you want to see things the way they do, multiple actions, how you respond, and then you beat them. And it's like you have to play the game from their point of view too. Yeah. And I really liked that because it's like I think as viewers we realize that Tyrion is not on the Lannister side. He has ties to them, but you can see that his loyalties are not with his house.
Dany asks him that too. She's like, oh, and I should be taking this from a Lannister? About booby traps specifically, about them walking into a lion's den. But yeah. But
again, I don't think he's given her enough reason to trust him. His military strategies didn't work out, and so I think she's hesitant.
And as a just a viewer who's watching these events unfold, like we're seeing Tyrion struggle with it, like not only from a maybe I'm giving some of the